Hey guys, it's Kenzie. Welcome back to my channel. We're doing another Coco and Jesus, and we are heading into chapter 2 of Ruth. Like I said last week, one of my favorite books of the Bible, one of my favorite people in the Bible, and she really is the Proverbs 31 woman. So the setup's a little bit different today. I'm in my living room, not in my bedroom, because for some reason, rather than wanting to do my Bible study in my room, I've been wanting to do it downstairs, either sitting on the couch where I am now or sitting in the chair that's right there. You can't see it, but there's a chair right there, I promise. And I don't know why, but that's just been like the vibe lately. But anyway, so I'm actually filming this in the morning instead, because when I got home from work last night, I was super tired and didn't film. So instead, I'm filming this in the morning of the day that I'm posting it. So instead of hot cocoa, I have a hot matcha latte because it's actually kind of cold today. I mean, not really. It's like 60 degrees today, which isn't like freezing, thankfully, but it's also not as hot as I would like it to be. But it's better than Sunday. Sunday, it was burning up in everywhere, really. Like in the house, outside, at my church. Oh my gosh, I was burning up in my church. But anyway, so in case you did not see last week's video, like I said, we're talking about the book of Ruth, and I have a few verses in each chapter. So I have a few verses that are highlighted or just have some notes taken in them, and those are the main verses we're going to focus on in each chapter. But if it's underlined in pink, so let me show you my Bible really quick. So we've got orange, got a little bit of green up here. Not sure if you can see that. And then I have pink. Now, pink is anything having to do with Proverbs 31. So if it's underlined in pink, then it corresponds to a verse in Proverbs 31. So I'm going to, again, focus on certain verses that are highlighted, underlined, or just have a little note taken next to them. And then on the one that's underlined in pink, we're going to go over to Proverbs 31 and see what that corresponds to. And then I also have this little sticky note right here that whatever verse in Ruth it is that corresponds to a verse in Proverbs 31, it also has that verse right next to it. If that makes any sense. And again, if you did not see last week's video for the book of Ruth, I'm going to be in my King James Version Bible. And then for the book of Proverbs, I'm going to be in my New Living Translation. Just to keep from awkwardly having to flip over to the other pages in my Bible. So yeah. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Go ahead and grab your tea, your hot cocoa, your matcha, your coffee, a Bible, a notebook, whatever you want to grab. You know, a blanket, whatever, and just follow along with me. Alrighty. So for chapter 2, I'm not sure if I'm going to read the whole chapter. I think I'm going to read verses 1 through 12 and then do a quick overview, and then 13 through 23. If you hear weird noises in the background, I'm doing laundry right now, so. Alright. And Naomi had a kinsman of her husband's, a mighty man of wealth of the family Elimelech, and his name was Boaz. And Ruth, the Moabitess, said unto Naomi, Let me now go to the field and glean ears of corn after him in whose sight I shall find grace. And she said unto her, Go, my daughter. And she went and came and gleaned in the field after the reapers, and her hap was to light on a part of the field belonging unto Boaz, who was of the kindred of Elimelech. And behold, Boaz came from Bethlehem, and said unto the reapers, The Lord be with you. And they answered him, The Lord bless thee. Then Boaz unto his servant that was set over the reapers, whose damsel is this? And the servant that was set over the reapers answered and said, It is the Moabitish damsel that came back with Naomi out of the country of Moab. And she said, I pray you, let me glean and gather after the reapers among the sheaves. So she came and hath continued even from the morning until now, that she tarried a little in the house. Then said Boaz unto Ruth, Hearest thou not, my daughter? Go not to glean in another field, neither go from hence, but abide here fast by my maidens. Let thine eyes be on the field that they do reap, and go thou after them. Have I not charged the young men that they shall not touch thee? And when thou art athirst, I'm not the best at reading out loud, I'm sorry. Go unto the vessels and drink of that which the young men have drawn. Then she fell on her face and bowed herself to the ground and said unto him, Why have I found grace in thine eyes, that thou shouldest take knowledge of me, seeing I am a stranger? And Boaz answered and said unto her, It hath fully been showed me all that thou hast done unto thy mother-in-law since the death of thine husband, and how thou hast left thy father and thy mother and the land of thy nativity, and art come unto a people which thou knewest not heretofore. The Lord recompense thy work, and a full reward be given thee of the Lord God of Israel, under whose wings thou art come to trust. Whew, that was a lot to read out loud. My goodness. Yeah, drink a matcha. My goodness. I'm sorry. I'm not great at reading out loud, especially when it's long passages like that. So, I'm sorry. Sorry if that was a little over the place, and if you might have ended up having a stroke hearing me read all of that. Okay. So, right now, verses 1 through 12 is just Boaz and Ruth meet, and Ruth is, working in the field, doing some hard work, trying to help her mother-in-law out. It says here in verse 2 that Ruth offered to go into Boaz's field and work. I have a little note here that says Ruth was a hard worker, because she didn't say, "Oh, here, let me go find some guy to, help us with this." She went, "No, I'll go. I will go. And I will do this job." And then here in verse 5, well, hold on. Where am I at? I thought I had something else before that. I didn't. Okay. Anyway. But here in verse 5, Boaz saw that she was working. He saw that she was a hard worker and was like, "Who is that? I want to get to know her." And I'll get a little more into this after I read the second part of this chapter. But a lot of people like to take Proverbs 31 and make it sound like it's saying that it's ungodly for a woman to work, when in reality it's not. So, like, you can look at Ruth, like, Boaz literally was like, oh my gosh, she's such a hard worker. Who is that? She's so attractive. And then in verse 8, he went up to her and was like, hey, you can stay in this field. Like, you don't go to any other field, okay? You come into my field, you work in my field. All right, I've already let the guys know, like, hey, don't bother you, okay? You're good here. If you're thirsty, get something to drink. All right, you're gonna be fine here. Just stay here. And I'm wondering if that's just because he knew she was a hard worker, or if it's literally just because he thought she was attractive and was like, I want to make sure I'm always around her. Like, I wonder which one it was. But anyway, rather than being like, hey, get out of my field, he was like, stay in my field, work in my field. You're a hard worker. The guys know not to bother you. You're good here. And then here in verse 11, not only, again, a little note that I have, not only did Boaz admire Ruth for her hard work, but he also, like, that we saw, verses 5 through 9, or 5 through 8, whichever one it was. But he also admires her for her selflessness and her kindness. He admires the fact that she was willing to go and be with her mother-in-law rather than going back home to the people she knew. He was so, he loved the fact that Ruth was so selfless. She came unto a country that she knew nothing about. She didn't know anyone there. But she still went because that was the type of person she was. Oh, and I gotta crack my knuckles. I'm sorry. They were hurting. Anyway. Now, all right, I'm gonna be nicer to both you guys and me. I'm actually only going to read 13 through 17 really quick, do a little overview, and then 18 through 20, and then 21 through 23. Right. Then she said, let me find favor in thy sight, my Lord, for that thou hast comforted me, and for that thou hast spoken friendly unto thine handmaid. Thou be not like unto one of thine handmaidens. And Boaz said unto her at mealtime, come thou hither and eat of the bread, and dip thy morsel in the vinegar. And she sat beside the reapers, and she reached her parched corn, and she did eat, and she was sufficed, and left. And when she was risen up to glean, Boaz commanded his young men, saying, let her glean even among the sheaves, and reproach her not. And let fall also some of the handfuls of purpose for her, and leave them, that she may glean them, and rebuke her not. So she gleaned in the field until even, and beat out that she had gleaned, and it was about an ephah of barley, or ephah of barley. Why do I keep saying parley? Anyway, barley. So for a lot of these verses, I actually had to go back and like reread them in my NLT Bible because I wasn't understanding. But my goodness, I feel like I'm losing my voice. Anyway, But these verses are basically saying that Boaz was like, no, we're going to treat her right. She can come sit with us, come eat with us and everything. It's really not that big a deal. She's a woman, not a goat, you know? And the fact that he told the men to like drop some, like, what was it? The sheaves. Hold on. Yeah, to drop the sheaves on purpose just so that way like she had more, I think was kind of nice, because I'm pretty sure that he's aware, pretty sure, not 100% sure, that he's aware of the fact that her and Naomi don't have a lot, and so her working is to take care of her and Naomi. So, and I think that's another thing that attracted Boaz to Ruth, is the fact that rather than deciding to go out and find a husband immediately to, provide for the family, she instead was like, no, I'll provide for the family. I can do it. I'm fine. I'm a strong, independent woman. So, right now, 18 through 20. And she took it up and went into the city, and her mother-in-law saw that she had gleaned, and she brought forth and gave to her that she had reserved after she was sufficed. And her mother-in-law said unto her, Where hast thou gleaned today? And where broughtest thou? Blessed be he that did take knowledge of thee. And she showed her mother-in-law with whom she had brought, and said, The man's name with whom I brought today is Boaz. Then Naomi said unto her daughter-in-law, Blessed be he of the Lord, who hath not left off his kindness to the living and to the dead. And Naomi said unto her, The man is near of kin unto us, one of our next kinsmen. Yeah, okay. That's all I need to read. So, Ruth brought home the food for her mother-in-law. Her mother was like, Thank you, I needed food. Where'd you get it all? Like, where'd you go out and work today? And her mother and Ruth was like, Oh, I went to this field. Yeah, really cool dude. His name's Boaz. And Naomi was like, That's one of our kinsmen. I'm just kidding. I'm like modernizing this or whatever. But that's probably not at all how that happened. But it's just really cool to see back in biblical times a woman working hard, because most of the Bible stories I grew up with, the women were not working hard. They were actually, the type of people who married a king because they're like, hey, I need my family taken care of. I'm gonna go marry the king because I'm pretty. And so it's really nice seeing that there is a woman in the Bible who has a whole book written about her. I know it's the same with Esther. I haven't read the book of Esther, like, ever. So I'm eventually going to have to do that. Right now I'm in the book of Daniel, because I already finished my study on Ruth. But anyway. But it's really cool seeing a woman of God working hard, and instead of immediately going up to Boaz and being like, hey, so you're one of my kinsmen, do you mind coming and coming and redeeming my family, like my mother-in-law my mother-in-law and I are having a really hard time. Do you mind coming and helping? She was like, no, I'm gonna go work, I'm gonna go earn his affection, I guess would be the terminology. I don't know. Point is, I'm gonna go work, and I'm gonna let him see me, and if he's attracted to me, he's attracted to me. If not, then he's not. So Okay. In case I never mentioned, by the way, I'm not a theologian. I'm not a biblically knowledged person. I'm not sure what the term I'm looking for is there. I am just a girl who loves Jesus and is trying to get closer with God and trying to teach others in the best of my ability. So, but anyway. Okay. Now 21 through 22. Or 23. That's what I meant. And Ruth the Moabitess said, He said unto me also, Thou shalt keep, thou shalt keep fast by my young men until they have ended all my harvest. And Naomi said unto Ruth, her daughter-in-law, It is good, my daughter, that thou go out with his maidens, that they may meet thee not in any other field. So she kept fast by the maidens of Boaz to glean unto the end of barley harvest and of wheat harvest, and dwelt with her mother-in-law. Okay, we finished chapter 2 now. So Naomi was pretty much just like, okay, he's gonna let you work in his field, stay working in his field. That is the best thing you can do right now. And she was just like, hey, keep taking care of us, I guess, then, if you want. So that is all of chapter 2. If you want a better person to help you learn how to study anywhere in the Bible, I don't have any recommendations right now, but I'm sure you can find them somewhere on YouTube. But this is just the current study of Ruth that I've got going on for me and the way that I'm interpreting a lot of this stuff. But anyway, so for our little Proverbs 31 verse cross-reference, coinciding, whatever the word is, we have verse 17, Ruth 2, verse 17, which says, She gleaned in the field until evening, and beat out that she had gleaned, and it was about an ephah of barley. Why do I keep saying barley? My goodness. And the note I had here says, a Proverbs 31 woman works hard in her field. And then the Proverbs 31 verse that coincides with that is Proverbs 31, 13 through 17. Mainly verse 17, but we're going to read all of this anyway. She finds wool and flax and busily spins it. She is like a merchant ship bringing her food from afar. She gets up before dawn to prepare breakfast for her household and plan a day's work for her servant girls. She goes to inspect a field and buys it. With her earnings, she plants a vineyard. She's energetic and strong, a hard worker. Now, the reason I decided to give a little more emphasis on a hard worker is because a lot of people like to take Proverbs 31 and make it sound like, I feel like I've already said this before in this video, but I'm not sure if I have, and make it sound like a godly woman, because Proverbs 31 is literally like how to be a woman of God, especially verses 10 through 31. Those are like the main verses to pay attention to. Well, I seriously feel like I'm losing my voice and I don't know why. It sounds like I am. Anyway, a lot of people like to take Proverbs 31 and make it sound like it's saying that a woman of God is not allowed to work, is not allowed to do anything. They have to be a stay-at-home mom, stay-at-home wife, take care of the house. That's it. They're not allowed to go out and do anything. But it says right there in verse 17 that she is a hard worker. She's energetic and strong, a hard worker. And then, 13 through 16, it says that she gets up early, prepares food for her house. She brings her food from afar. She finds wool and flax and spins it. She inspects a field and buys it. And with her earnings, she plants a vineyard. How else is she going to get earnings if she's not working? And don't get me wrong, when I say... Sorry, I heard someone, and I feel like it's super awkward to film in front of people, so... But anyway, what I was saying was, don't get me wrong, I am not saying that a stay-at-home mom, stay-at-home wife, the type of woman who prefers to work at the house and just take care of the house rather than, have any other kind of job. I'm not saying that you are not a hard worker, because you are. I don't have a husband. I don't have children. I live at home with my parents. I work a not minimum wage job. Not quite sure what to classify my job as. But anyway, like I'm not saying that is not hard work, because I'm sure it is. Like, my mom at one point, she was kind of in between jobs, and she was taking care of myself, my brother, and a couple of our friends, because their parents weren't able to like pick them up and take care of them after school. So my mom babysat them. My mom was exhausted afterwards. Sorry, again, person. It's just my grandma, but anyway. Okay, bye, grandma. Where was I? Oh yeah, I am not saying that if you are a stay-at-home mom that you just like do nothing all day, because I'm sure that is a hard job, and honestly, I applaud you for it. Personally, and this is just me saying this right now, when I have no husband, no kids, no house of my own, I live with my parents. It's just me saying this right now. I personally don't know if I could be a stay-at-home mom. I don't think I could. But honestly, maybe one day when I have kids, I'm going to be like, no, I never want to leave their side. I'm going to be a stay-at-home mom. I will homeschool them. Like, I don't know. But if you are a stay-at-home mom, or even just a stay-at-home wife, I applaud you, because that cannot be an easy job. So, yeah, that's our little study today. I know it's longer than last week's, but last week I didn't do a whole chapter. I just did a handful of verses. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope I did not give you a stroke. That's the term. While reading, because I know that I'm a terrible reader out loud. Like, when I'm reading in my head, no problem. Mainly because it's only my brain judging me. Meanwhile, if I'm reading out loud, I'm like, oh my gosh, everyone's judging the fact that I don't know how to pronounce this one word. They're gonna think I'm so stupid, and then I've got to be like, girl, these are words that you don't know. And like, the King James Bible, not the easiest to read. Like, there's a lot of weird terms in there, like the these and the thous and the hearken. What is this word? How did I end up in Isaiah? What the heck? Like, Isaiah 51 verse 1, it starts off with hearken. I guess it's saying here. Hearken. I don't know. I don't know what this is saying. So it's not the easiest Bible version to read. In one of my other Coco and Jesus videos, the first time I tried to film it, I was reading in my King James Bible, but I was having so much trouble understanding it, so I went to this Bible instead, and I was fine. So, yeah, anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something. If you guys have any, like, tips on how to become a better reader out loud, go ahead and let me know. I would love to hear it. But yeah, I hope you all have a good day, night, evening, whatever time of day you are watching this. Jesus loves you. So do I. And bye.